All right, welcome back, Mass, and hello to everyone's favorite host, James. How are you guys doing today?
I'm
Fine,
depressed.
ready to go.
Yeah. James, you had a hard loss last week.
Yeah, no
It
kidding.
was because you would still be number two to Mr. Donrat. So take consolation in that. Rest your players and move on to this week. So I got to tell you guys, I got called out last week because on air I said that I would trade Ezekiel Elliott for Chase Edmonds and Kenyon Drake. Well, the guy who never trades called me out and sent me the trade and was like, um, and I went back and forth, and then I don't know if it was Wednesday or Thursday that he had the hamstring uh, pop up, and I got this, and this weekend his hamstring looked fine to me. So um, I don't know. I couldn't follow through with the trade. So yeah, I got called out for that, and I understand. That being said, today is the last week for trades in our league here. So who are the last ditch effort trades you're going to make? So for instance, I also tried to trade for a player whom I despise, a player who I don't think is as good as he's been showing me that he is for the past 2 years. Aaron Jones. I sent over Kenyon Drake and Chase Edmonds to Don Rat for Aaron Jones. Why did you reject the trade? I'm curious.
Because it wasn't Ezekiel Elliott.
All right. Well, unfortunately, I don't have Aaron Jones, and I still have the two running backs that are not named Kyler Murray. So stuck with them on my team. I value them highly. Chelsea thinks I overvalue my players, but whatever. So who do you want that is not on your team, and what is your best offer? And understand, our league actually watches this joke of a show, so you will be called for whatever trade you send forward. Let's start with James. James, who's a player you want, and what's your best offer for them?
Oh man, who do I want? I mean, that's I don't really have anyone I want. I'm kind of in the same way as a lot of these guys on here. I don't really like to trade, and so it's hard for me to let go of any of my players. I especially stop sending me trades for Christian McCaffrey. I don't care if he's hurt. I want to keep him forever. Okay, he's my guy. I don't want to hate anyone and regret it for the rest of my life. But if I could get anyone, um, it definitely would be a running back, and I think I would love to get. Uh, uh, Kamari from you. Um, but my my best trade I would give you, I don't know. I guess I could finally give you Connor, yeah, because I know how much you want him, and maybe Claypool. Just but that's basically it.
Need to send over that trade. That I would never accept it. If you want to send over Christian McCaffrey, though, I might entertain Kamara. All right, Mass, who do you want, and who are you sending?
I want Tyreek Hill, and I think I've already sent this trade request, but I know I send like 300 trade requests a week or offers. But right now I have Adam Thielen and Brandon Cooks for Hill, and I don't know if it's a great offer, but I feel like they need depth, and Brandon Cooks is no joke. Picking him up off the waiver wire a few weeks ago, and I think he gets like 10 targets a week. So
So that I also have been trying to trade for Tyreek Hill. I also sent over two wide receivers. I sent over DJ Chark and Jarvis Landry. Um, Jarvis Landry, I mean, he's the last man standing in the wide receiver territory. They have a great playoff schedule, so that was kind of my thinking behind it. But and you sent a good offer too. Well, you know, I don't know. I it's hard. Tyreek Hill is obviously the number one, so
Yeah.
offers are never going to equate what Tyreek Hill could probably produce.
Yeah, he's the number one, but he hasn't had his bye yet.
Yeah.
So that gets taken into account. He might not be the number one after the bye. Either way, I really want him.
Shocked that at one point in the year I could have traded for DK Metcalf and Will Fuller, and I looked at my needs and I had the Kelsey offer, and so I took Kelsey instead of Fuller and Metcalf. But man, Metcalf has shown that he is the number one on that team, and I think if anyone's gonna bring down Tyreek Hill, it's going to be that beast of a man. He should have gotten some points for that Buda Baker tackle that he had.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, there are offers. Everyone is going to reject them because our league hates us because we're winners. So,
Guess so.
you too, James. You too, buddy. You're a winner. All right. So we're going to start with Drew, run it back, versus Eric. So Drew is missing Patrick Mahomes this week because of his bye, and he's going to start Tannehill versus the Colts. I'm curious, James, is that a good start? Would you start Tannehill over the Colts, or would you pick up somebody else? The other options would be Daniel Jones versus the Eagles. We have Baker versus the Texans, or Phil Rivers versus the Titans. So the opposite team. What are your thoughts, James?
Yeah, with all those options out there, I would probably go ahead and just stick with Tannehill. I mean, Tennessee's defense killed it last week. Granted, they weren't playing a very difficult offense, but they do seem to have a pretty solid defense. Baker Mayfield, well, maybe. But Daniel Jones, I don't trust at all. He like gets overwhelmed a lot and will just throw the ball away rather than hold on, and so he's often gonna toss a pick or a pick six, maybe even. So I don't really like him at all, a lot at all. So I might stick with Tannehill, maybe look at Baker Mayfield, but otherwise, yeah, I might go ahead and do Tannehill.
What do you think, Mast?
I think I'd go with Tua. I picked him up and then dropped him just because I had to take somebody out of my IR spot. But I was going to start Tua this week because Lamar has looked so pedestrian, and he's playing against Patriots D, and I feel like they want revenge for last year or something. His upcoming schedule is really hard, and Tua's is really easy, so that's why I picked him up initially. And I think he looked like the real deal.
Well, both these teams, they need a quarterback. So whoever doesn't pick up Tua, whoever doesn't think Baker Mayfield can get it done, obviously has options. Eric needs a quarterback too. I don't think Teddy Bridgewater is going to give him the upside that he needs to be able to take down Drew this week. But exciting news, he should get Nick Chubb back, and Nick Chubb back means also good things for Kareem Hunt. He's been averaging basically the same points with and without Nick Chubb in the lineup. So if anything, I think this is going to be good. My advice to Eric, though, take a shot on Darius Slayton, take a shot on Darnell Mooney, and see what happens. You need some big upside to take down Drew, but I'm going to give the winner to Drew this week. But I'm going to call it close. There were several games this week that I'm looking at that are really close. I think this one's going to get the smallest margin of victory. Mass, who do you think has this one?
I'd give it to run it back, but I agree it would be really close. If Gobble Gobble were to accept my offer, I think he wins, though. I'm not even kidding, because I mean, he needs help. John Brown might not play. Cooper Kupp's questionable, and he's starting Philip Lindsay in his flex. And he doesn't have Tyreek Hill this week off. I really think if he accepts my offer, he wins. And that's not just me trying to be forward, but otherwise, I think it's close and run it back wins.
Yeah, you get to where you just have to buy wins, even for a week. You need to buy wins, and so the Texans going up against Cleveland, that's a good matchup, and I agree Brandon Cooks could really help his team out. That being said, Chark is the man. So. All right.
You
Who do
say
you,
so.
James?
Uh, yeah, I think it's gonna be close as well. Um, man, I want Gobble Gobble to beat Run It Back just to uh just to make the playoff race maybe possibly a little bit mixed up. I don't know how that will really affect it, but I think Run It Back is going to pull this one off, and we're probably both going to be the 6-4s.
All right. So next matchup is Alex versus James. So both you guys are hurting at your running back positions. Y'all need to make some sort of move to get some sort of running back. I think your wide receivers are decent, and both your tight ends could find the end zone. Ferguson is getting annoying for the Jonnu Smith truthers out there, though. So I'd be nervous about that. But my advice is either one of you, or maybe you can do it right now because the show has not come out yet. You can get on the Sleeper app and pick up Wilkins or Gio Bernard, and maybe get an advantage on your opponent there. That being said, I'm giving the winner to Alex here. I think his players just have a higher floor, and I can see all of them getting into the end zone. James, with this being your matchup, I'll let you go first. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I'm very disappointed that McCaffrey is doubtful, likely not going to play Sunday. I'm hoping that he pulls through. I mean, it's just a shoulder. Like, he's got his legs, right? So and he can hold on to the ball. I mean, I was so happy to get him, and then the first game he's back, he produced and he just killed it. But of course, no one else on my team did much. Connor didn't do anything where I thought he was going to have a really good game. So McCaffrey was going to kind of be my guy that puts me over the top, but without him, I'm kind of a little bit worried. So I may look into taking your advice. So, but as I mentioned earlier, I have a feeling I'm going 6-4.
Okay, Mast. Any advice for our co-host here? And who do you pick to win?
Any advice? I don't know if I thought of any advice. There's no, I don't have any advice, but I got Alex to win, not by too much, but I just think his receivers are crazy, and I think it's about time that Michael Thomas just goes off. And Hopkins had a bad week last week fantasy wise, so I think he'll go off. He drew 4 defensive PI calls, so I know he didn't have a good week in fantasy, but I mean, I think he's going to have a good week this week. And then, James, you got Stephon Diggs, and he gets Patrick Peterson and Budda Baker on him. I don't know if that's the greatest matchup. It isn't in a dome, which is nice, but I feel like Stephon Diggs, he can get Patrick Peterson's like kind of that same type, that speedy type, and I feel like he's made to cover that kind of receiver.
I will say my Saints this week against the Niners, like Nick Mullins or what's his name, backup Beathard, Berthert, but whatever. I feel like they're gonna give up the ball a lot. Maybe I'll have a Tennessee Titan type of defense weekend against the Niners, even though they are my team and I want to see them do well. I don't think they have it this year, and so I'm going to take advantage of that. So maybe that will put me over the edge.
This is a family show. It's definitely Beathard. CJ.
Yes, of course, Beathard.
All right. So Chad versus Milkos. I didn't even make notes for this. Chad, you're gonna win, dude. Milkos' team is pretty sorry. He's in the playoffs right now. I don't think that lasts. He's kind of in a weird position where obviously maybe 1 or 2 of his players could carry him over, but yeah, I think Chad has this one. I think you just have the better team, and it's a walk-off win for Chad. Mass, what do you think?
I don't know. I think it's pretty close. He does have Gurley on a bye, but if Mixon comes back, I know it's against Pittsburgh though. I don't know. Yeah, I'll probably go with Chad because he has Kyler, and that's what's going to do it. He's going to end up being the number one quarterback. But the only thing that gives me pause is DeAndre Swift randomly has these huge weeks, and Devontae Adams, I think, is the best fantasy receiver right now. So, I mean, you never know. Like you said, it could be one of those random players just going off for 40 something, which is the same way in which I think I might lose this week. But yeah, without Devontae Adams going for 40, I don't think he is going to win.
So remember at the beginning, I announced that we were playing Jersey, and it was like, "Oh, why Devontae Adams?" And I was like, "He's going to be the number one wide receiver this year. Like, I guarantee it." They didn't draft anybody. No one had really shown up. Alan Lazard and MBS were like maybe a thing, but obviously, like the guy's booming. And my point is, like, I'm not a prophet, but like the tea leaves were there. Like anyone could see if anyone had a chance to be the number one, it was going to be him. So to all the haters that don't want the jersey, when you guys don't win it, just I understand because you didn't believe. All right, James, who do you got for this game, Chad or Milkos?
Yeah, I got Chad also, and I'm really annoyed that I didn't get to play Milkos this week instead of last week with all these guys on their bye. Yeah, he does. I think Matt's made some good points about Milkos' team. He's got Devontae Adams. He's got some guys that can put up some big numbers, but I mean his running backs are looking awful regardless. And I have a guy that put up big numbers, but the rest of my guys put up like 5 points. So it doesn't really matter if you have one guy doing a lot. The other guys aren't going to produce very much. So, but I think Chad's looking good. I think it's him this week.
All right, so Matt versus Mast, the M and M. Matt is coming off a stinker of the week performance. His team was at one point in I think the first 3 weeks the number one points for team, and man, they have tanked. They have fallen so hard. The Dalvin Cooks, on the other hand, have been lighting it up. They have basically been carried by this one running back. And I'm so annoyed that it is Dalvin Cook. I don't know why, man. I hate Dalvin Cook. I don't like Aaron Jones, and I definitely don't want Adam Thielen. If I was stranded in the desert and those were the three guys in the car coming to pick me up, I feel like just move on, gentlemen. I don't want to ride with you at all. So it seems like you're primed for the week one bye in the playoffs. So what are you doing at this point to set yourself up for a championship run?
Well, I've just been kind of looking at people's schedules, their playoff schedules specifically. Dalvin Cook has a bad one, and he has a bad matchup this week too at Chicago. So you never know. I mean, all his explosion games have been against bad run defenses or bad teams against running backs fantasy wise. So obviously, I think he's amazing. He's been really awesome for me. But besides that, yeah, just looking at schedules, playoff schedules, and their matchups, and trying to trade for people, and looking at waiver wire people.
Yeah, I think in some ways, man, maybe I should extend the trade deadline in our league. I feel like we're a really active league, and people, especially at the end, are going to really look to make moves so they can get into the playoffs. I know Chad really likes to do that. He is very calculatory in what he tries to do roster wise. So yeah, maybe for next year I'll put it up in the poll and we can vote on it to see if we can extend the trade deadline for our league, because I think we're really active. James, I need you to pick a winner for this game, Matt versus Mast. By the way, I'm picking Don Rat to win, and then we need Don Rat to pick a winner too. But James, who do you got in this game?
Yeah, I think it's for sure Don Rat by really lights out. I mean, that's basically it. I mean, there's no one that really wows me on Matt's team. Brady's looking pretty rough at quarterback. I know Lamar Jackson hasn't been very consistent, but Brady against the Giants 2 weeks ago and then against New Orleans, I mean, I thought he was going to score all kinds of points with Antonio Brown, but he didn't. So I think this is Don Rat's game.
I got a bet for you, James. I think that Tom Brady actually has a decent week. I think that he'll score over 21 points this week. What do you think, James?
Well, yeah, 21 points. I think you can probably get, but I don't know. Put the over under at 23 points, and I'll bet you.
Okay, done. Yeah, I'll take that bet. So loser has to drink 2 glasses of whole milk and run half a mile.
Okay.
All right. So 23. All right. Tonrat, who do you got?
That sounds awful. I got me, but it's not by as much as you guys are saying it is. I really think his guys could go off. He has Gus Edwards, doesn't bring fear in the hearts of anybody, but Chris Carson could come back, and then he's got Andrews, who isn't a bad tight end. Mike Evans and Tom Brady could want revenge for just being awful last week. And like I said, Tyler Lockett has games where he has 5 points and he has games where he has 40 points. He could totally have a 40-point game against me. But I think the real variable here is Corey Davis. His brother died today. And I feel like, yeah, his brother, who was a wide receiver at Central Michigan, he went to Western Michigan, but his brother was a wide receiver at Central Michigan, and he just died today. So if he plays tomorrow night, he might play really, really, really well, and they might try to target him because he's going to be playing really well. Kind of a dark way to look at it, but fantasy is a dark game, and I think that Corey Davis might go off against me too.
So that's funny. With news of his brother, I would have said to start Corey Davis with confidence. I feel really good about him this week. I love the narrative story, though, which is part of the reason I'm taking this over on Tom Brady, over 23 points this weekend, because he's never had back-to-back bad games. But yeah, I would roll with Corey Davis, and I agree with you. The story is good, man, and I can already see his interview where he was like, yeah, 2 touchdowns, 1 for me, 1 for my brother. So yeah. All right. So did you pick a winner?
Yeah, I picked me, but like I said, not by much.
All right. So now we're going to Matt's wife, Carrie versus Zach. Carrie's team has been in a rough spot, physically, emotionally. She needs a win this week to continue to vie for that playoff. I think she was booted out last week. So if she wins, she still has a chance to make it in. Zach's team is officially a playoff contender. And I think if he can stay healthy, he has a really good shot. There's one player on Zach's team, though, I'm curious about. So at one time, I think it was early on, like week 2, I called Joshua Kelly a league winner. I thought that he was going to be so much better than he is. Now I have the question, is Joshua Kelly worth rostering? What do you do with him? Mass, what are your thoughts?
Well, isn't he getting held out this next game?
Not officially, so he's actually probable to potentially come back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I'd hold Josh Kelly running backs are really valuable. I think I'd hold on to him, so I'd roster him, yeah. But he's not nearly as good as I thought he was going to be after Eckler got hurt.
And James, what do you take Joshua Kelly?
Sorry, say that one more time.
I said, what's your take on Joshua Kelly?
I think, like Matt said, running backs are very valuable, especially if McCaffrey can come back. Then Davis doesn't do any good, so he needs another solid running back. But at the same time, I have Jackson, so I hope he comes back and I can use him above him. So I don't know. It's a tough call. I don't know who's out there right now as far as running backs go. Let me check.
They're not that many. I gave you the best.
Yeah, I was thinking so. So there's really, I mean, I would hold on to him.
Okay, so I'm going with Carrie to win this one. I don't know why my gut says she has the highest score of the week, and it's just a gut call. And last week I did pretty well on all my gut calls. I went against you guys, and I was actually right in most of them, except for my call on Matt. I thought Matt would definitely have a better game than he did. But I'm going with Carrie, and that's just a gut call. James, what do you think? You got Carrie or Zach?
I think I want to go with Zach. Carrie's teams that, well, actually, never mind. Zach's teams that underperformed as well. But I think I still do like Zach over Carrie. I think he has just like a potentially a better lineup. I know that Carrie's slightly projected to outscore him, but I mean, she's dealing with a lot of injuries. And yeah, I don't know. I just would go with Zach over Carrie.
Mast?
I'd go with, it's really, really close. Maybe if Zach changes defense, then I'd go with him. Yeah, I'll go with Zach anyway. Even though his matchups are so tough, he gets Mike Davis back. Who it's against. He gets Mike Davis back with McCaffrey probably gone. It's against Tampa Bay, but he just seems like he catches a million little dump off passes in that offense. So in a half PPR or full PPR, he's really good. And I just like his wide receiver situation more. And I think Darren Waller is the second best tight end right now because Kittle's out. We can't all have good tight ends though. So I'm going to go with him.
All right. The last matchup is myself versus Rhett. Every year I don't look forward to this matchup. I've always hated it. The first year that we got the trophy for the league, it was me and Rhett in the finals, and I should have picked up Doug Baldwin, and I just didn't. I don't know why. I convinced myself he wasn't worth a pickup, and I should have picked him up, and I could have won. I faced him in the playoffs a couple years ago with my amazing stacked team and lost on a bad week. And then the next week I dominated. And then last year I played him the finale and I just knew that he was going to win. And I got my first victory. I've despised playing Rhett. I've called him the luckiest guy in fantasy football because I still think he is. He'll somehow turn around his whole league or his whole year and win this league. That being said, I feel good about myself this week, and I'm going for myself to beat Rhett. So the question I pose to you, gentlemen, is not who do you think is going to win, but should I let Rhett win? Mass, what do you think?
Why would you want to let him win?
Just to assert my dominance that I'm letting someone win.
You know? Oh, it's more emotionally damaging. That's what you're saying. Should you let him win? Yeah, let him win. Just stoke the fire. Let's get him in the playoffs. Let's just shoehorn him in there, and then he's just going to go on an absolute rampage and destroy us all.
All right, James, what do you think? Do I let him win this week?
I think you're being a little overly confident. You are for sure going to win. But yes, I do think you're going to win. And no, I wouldn't let him win. That seems like you're trying to get number one draft pick next season. Is that the goal? Or you're trying to prevent him from getting number one draft pick? If we were doing stuff like that where a loser gets number one draft pick, then maybe I would let him win so that Gobble could be the one that gets it over him. But otherwise, no, that seems ridiculous. You should for sure start all your players, make sure that everyone is solid, and set your lineup correctly.
Whatever, man. I hate your Christian morals. Why are you always trying to shove that down my throat? Don't worry. Carson Wentz is my quarterback this week. He'll make sure Rhett has a good run at it, especially with him getting Jared Goff against the Seahawks. I had put a bid in for him. Obviously, Rhett wanted him more than I did, so it should be a good matchup. I think we would all agree, though. I should single-handedly win this game with most of my lineup, even with Kelsey on a bye this week. Maybe I'll just start Kelsey out of respect and see how that for my team. So, but if you do win Rhett, it's because I let you. I just want you to know that you didn't beat me. I beat myself. So. All right. Any final remarks, gentlemen? Anyone you didn't trash talk that you feel like you really need to let them know where their position is? Matt.
Just to reiterate that I beat Zach last week, and it really wasn't close. Even if he had started Josh Allen, he wouldn't have won. So he really just needs to get over himself. His team's pathetic. Go ahead.
James, anyone you need to strike the fear of life into?
Well, I think just to reiterate, Zach, your team does suck. I called you being last place this year. Gobble Gobble's got to run for your money, but I still think you're going to win the toilet bowl, even though I flip flop a lot. You're awful. You stink, dude. Also, Milkos, man, what happened, dude? We were pretty close. Why'd you pick up the Titans defense and do that to me? I think you still might have won anyway, but that frustrated me so badly. I hated watching that game, and I was mad that I live here in Tennessee now, and I hate the Titans for doing that to me. So you suck, dude. I hate you.
I got one more person I got to shout out to. So Matt, I really think this year your name needs to be, I really wish I could beat JP, because I faced you again in week 13, and since your team is composed of the Bucks, I think they're all on bye. So yeah, I really wish I could beat JP. Maybe better luck next year. That's a long name, but I think it's accurate. So all right, can't wait to see us all lose this weekend because we're so smug and self-assured. So like a bed bug. So all right, peace out, guys. Thank you.
See ya.
Later.
All right.